After the war between Iran, Israel, and the United States, the region stands at a crossroads, and Iran, once seen as a powerful force in the Middle East, now finds itself staring into an abyss. Tehran is trying hard to project strength to its people and the world, but behind the bold speeches and threats, cracks are showing. The Iranian regime has suffered a staggering blow. Their top generals, nuclear scientists, and military installations were decimated in a wave of Israeli and American airstrikes. Now, all that remains are fiery speeches, rhetoric without weight. Officials in Tehran claim they will respond with an iron fist, vowing revenge against Israel and condemning President Trump's disrespect toward their supreme leader. But these threats ring hollow. On the ground, it's clear who has the upper hand. While Iran clings to threats, Israel is taking action. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has recalibrated Israel's war objectives in Gaza. At the top of the list, rescuing hostages. The IDF continues striking Hamas targets both inside the Gaza Strip and beyond. Just this past Sunday, Israeli forces uncovered the largest terrorist network in over a decade. 60 operatives were arrested, 22 weapons were seized. A large-scale Hamas operation in the city of Kaborn was dismantled, and that was only part of a broader sweep. The IDF issued urgent evacuation warnings to residents in northern Gaza, signaling that operations are intensifying. Gaza City may once again become a front line. Meanwhile, back in Washington, President Trump was interviewed on Fox News, addressing the fallout from the conflict. He revealed that Iran failed to move its enriched uranium stockpile before the strike, suggesting they were caught completely off guard. He also made it clear that U.S. sanctions on Iran would only be lifted if Tehran meets very specific, yet unrevealed, conditions. The war has exposed a deep vulnerability in Iran's leadership. The New York Times, in a rare moment of alignment with conservative voices, reported that Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei is now facing the greatest test of his 36-year reign. Even within Iran's inner circle, there's a clear sense of panic. This past Saturday, massive funerals were held for the generals and nuclear scientists killed in the June 13th strikes. In Tehran's Revolutionary Square, crowds chanted "Death to Israel" and "Death to America." But behind the shouting were bowed heads, grieving not just men, but lost influence and control. Revolutionary Guards. Commander Hussein Salami was laid to rest at a state shrine. The daughter of war, Chief Ali Shadmani, addressed the crowd saying, "I will not cry, so the enemy will not rejoice." Her words were meant to be defiant, but they echoed like a last stand. Adding to the chaos, senior advisor Ali Shamkhani, who was previously believed dead, appeared in a carefully staged interview on Iranian state TV. Visibly injured and using a breathing device, he claimed he had survived the airstrike, buried under rubble for hours. Whether this interview was genuine or propaganda, it was the first time many Iranians had heard real news about their own leadership. Why the silence? For days, Iran shut down internet access nationwide, afraid that Israel might use it for digital surveillance. But the blackout had disastrous consequences for an already fragile economy. Commerce stopped, communication failed. And a prior cyber attack on the banking system made recovery even harder. Iran is now struggling to rebuild, not just from bombs, but from internal collapse. So where does this all lead? The Revolutionary Guard is battered. Their networks are exposed. And yet, Iran's regional proxies remain active. Armed groups in Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, and Yemen still operate under Iran's command, and Israel's military isn't slowing down. In fact, President Trump is pressuring both Iran and Israel. He wants Iran to back down, and he wants Israel to reach a deal to free the hostages and bring stability to Gaza. In a recent social media post, Trump even called it wrong for Prime Minister Netanyahu to be facing criminal charges during wartime, especially while trying to negotiate the release of hostages. In a separate headline, rare praise for Israel came from Britain. The Times of London reported that Israel had prevented a massive ballistic missile plot aimed at European cities. A Foreign Office spokesman revealed that Iran had secretly amassed one of the world's largest arsenals of long-range missiles, including some capable of hitting the UK, and that Israel stopped this threat in its tracks. As we zoom in further on Israel's counter-terror efforts, the Shin Bet and IDF launched a major operation in a city south of Jerusalem, often overlooked in media coverage. Over the weekend, they dismantled a vast Hamas terror cell operating in the West Bank, uncovering dozens of active members, seizing weapons, and arresting key leaders. Even more remarkably, investigators tied this network to an unsolved attack from 15 years ago at the Bani Naim Junction, where 4 Israelis were killed. For the victims' families, there is finally closure. More than 60 operatives have been indicted so far. Charges include organizing terror cells, planning assassinations, and conspiring to commit mass murder. And in the Gaza Strip, reports of intense IDF shelling and massive airstrikes are pouring in. Sunday evening saw what some described as a belt of fire in northern Gaza. Netanyahu called it a window of opportunity to break Hamas and rescue the hostages without negotiating with terrorists. For many Israelis, this war is not just political, it's personal. Consider Yossi, a farmer who lived near the Gaza border. On October 7th, he woke to the sound of gunfire. Armed militants had invaded his community. He and his wife hid in a bomb shelter with their 4 young sons. They survived, but their farm was destroyed, their crops abandoned, and their livelihood gone. And yet Yossi didn't give up. He partnered with local aid groups to donate what little produce he had left. Why? In his own words, "We just wanted to live peaceful lives." Call to action. This is the kind of strength the world needs to see, not just in war, but in recovery, in resilience, in truth. You're watching Conflict Signal. Subscribe, share, and help spread truth in real time. And most importantly, stay informed.